see.
We are day drinking.
We're afternoon drinking.
Yeah, it's afternoon. We're good. Hi, puppy.
I love it. All right, I just want to make sure I can hear y'all. It should be fine.
Ginger shots with a wine chaser.
Ooh. Happy Sunday. All right. Oh, actually, what was that? Oh, that's just the headset. All right, good. All right, well, welcome, y'all. This week I'm remote. I'm at the Menagerie headquarters. I am live here with Connie and Michael, and we're going to talk all things dark arts, I think.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hello.
How did you guys have started the Menagerie? How long, is it 3 years or?
This is our fifth anniversary. Our
Fifth anniversary?
Yeah.
So what made you start the Menagerie? Like what, because, I mean, Connie, you've been a badass your entire life, I think.
I was making weird art for a while out of dolls. I was making assemblage art. And my art just didn't sell at a normal market. I did like the Blues, Brews, and Barbecue Festival in Alameda, and I couldn't sell anything. I would make like $100. And people would walk by and they'd say, you know, oh, that's creepy. Or we did like a festival in Niles, and almost died because it was so hot. And I would vend at the goth clubs till 2 a.m, and it was just a lot of work. And so we just needed a place to sell my art. And, you know, we vended like the Edwardian Ball, and that's a spectacle that you go to have fun. It
People
wasn't
don't go to buy.
Yeah,
Right.
it wasn't market driven or, you know, specifically for vendors. So we had gone to an event down in Southern California, the Oddities Flea Market. And we were down there, and on the way back, I told Michael, I said, nobody's doing this in the Bay Area. We should do it. And so we did. And not only were there artists looking for a place to sell their art, but there were people looking for an event to buy art like that. So it just grew from there.
It's amazing because now you go everywhere. You're not just in California anymore, right? You have shows in...
No, we're still in California.
California.
We're still in California. We thought that we would make it out of state this year. We still might make it out of state. We're working on something. But we got a bunch of new venues in California. And so we're at 11 shows this year in the state.
That's big shows, not
Big shows.
pop-ups.
Right.
And then I think we've got a total of 30 pop-ups. So we're over 40 events total.
Wow.
That we're hosting. And then, you know, we still are vending other people's events just to, you know, Michael and I with the trailer, just to go out and do it ourselves, you know. It's still fun to go be vendors, you know. So
Is it still fun getting, I mean, that 40 events is a lot of events.
It is, yeah, it is. It's still fun. It is still fun. Next year, I mean, our business is always evolving, and it has to for several reasons. It needs to evolve because the public and the industry evolves. And then, I mean, you just never know what people are going to be into, or what the economy is going to bring, or what's going to be trendy or popular. So next year, our focus is entirely different than it is this year. And also, you know, we've had a lot of, not competition, but a lot of people trying to do what we do. And so we have to kind of stay one step ahead of that to make our market fresh and to keep our audience coming back. Otherwise, it just gets old and boring. Right. And then our attendance falls. And so, you know, our artists are really counting on us to produce the numbers. You know, when you produce an event, you're not just putting it on, but you're also bringing in the numbers for the artists. You know, there's a lot of responsibility there, and I don't think that other events are taking that into consideration.
Yeah, because you've had people that are starting to try to rip you off, kind of, right? Like,
yeah,
Blatantly.
Yeah. Artists, entertainment, everything. They're just not calling themselves the Menagerie. So, I mean, we've had attendees come to our events and they're like, yeah, we went to this event last week and, you know, it just, yeah.
Kind of sucked and there's nobody there.
And we're like, well, yeah, it wasn't one of our events.
The problem is people start
So,
associating maybe
the
another bad
vendors.
event with ours.
and then, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
then you have, the 40 events is just the Menagerie, right? Because
Yeah.
then you have World Goth Day on top of that?
And that's still a
World Goth Day
menagerie.
is a menagerie event.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's just one particular theme because every event's themed.
Oh, okay.
The shows are all themed events.
Right.
And that's kind of what sets us apart from some of the other events that are out there.
And then this year is the third annual World Goth Day, right?
It's the third, yeah. So these legacy events are fun because, you know, people know that they're going to happen, and you know, they plan on going. We have people that come from all over the U.S. now. There's a mother and daughter that are coming from Rhode Island, and actually her sister's coming. I think she said from
Jersey.
Texas. Oh, Jersey. Yeah.
So
coming-
they plan their vacations on when we have our menageries.
They come to all the events. It's kind of wild.
And she was at our pop-up yesterday.
Yeah, she came to the pop-up yesterday in
Wow.
Santa Rosa. Santa Rosa is a good place to have a pop-up. It is. It was fun. The people like us there.
It was at a brewery.
It's a fun
called,
town. Shady
Shady
Oak.
Oak.
Shady Oak
It's a
Barrel
really cool
House.
place.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Good
I was going to try to come down to
food.
it, and then
Yeah.
I had to work.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And that's just vendors. You know, we don't have any entertainment. And Michael was the DJ. He had his playlist out there. So, you know,
I pressed play. That was
I think we had like 18 or 20 vendors with us. They all have a good time, you know. It just, you know, the pop-ups are, you know, we call them peculiar pop-ups. So we take, between the shows, we take anywhere between, I think the smallest we've had is 10 to 20, maybe 30 artists on the road with us, and we partner with a small business. So we bring our following to a small business to partner with for the day. And it's a marketing partnership. You know, small businesses don't have large marketing resources. And advertising on social media, advertising in magazines or web, it's expensive. And it's confusing. You really don't know what you're getting.
Right.
You know, they show you analytics and you have no fucking idea what you're looking at. And nobody wants to teach it to you, because if they teach it to you, then they're out of a job.
Right.
Right. So, you know, we pull our marketing resources together, and, you know, we bring our followers into their business, and they have a couple beers and they spend some money, and then their
have fun.
followers come and we meet new people. So we all create exposure for one another. The artists have, you know, new customers, and we get to tell people about our next event. And so that's what yesterday was about. It was about building community and creating exposure for World Goth Day.
Nice. Yeah, because it's like the kind of goth community and the people that come are so kind and nice, but I imagine that some places are a little like put off by the themes or something. I mean, you pick places that go along with your theme, so that makes, you know, like last year on the Hornet, it's like the haunted place, but like to see all those people come out and just have like a great time, it seems like it's a kind of an untapped market in some ways, because they don't have a lot of events from an outsider point of view.
Yeah. So, you know, the Gothic subculture has always been one of those groups, you know, one of those genres that people have always looked down their nose at, you know. And I remember back in the 80s, you know, in the early 80s, you know, being a kid, and, you know, people would chase us and throw eggs at us and spit on us, you know, and it, you know, it's still kind of the same way. People still look down their noses at, you know, at our culture.
When I was growing up, the
community.
worst part of my day was walking home from school, because there'd be cars driving by, calling you this, that, throwing shit at you out the window.
Yeah. And a lot of people in our, you know, in our community, you know, like trans or gay or, you know, minority people, you know, people of color, they within that genre, they really got picked on. And that's still true today, but they're more embraced within our community than ever,
Right.
There's a place for them now. And so I think we all stick together. We do. We all stick together.
Yeah. I mean, you're creating a community like that's just growing and growing and giving people a place to feel welcome and to sell art and to do this like mainstream
And
kind
to
of
feel safe.
and
That's
to feel
one of our big
safe.
things, to
Yeah.
feel safe where you're at.
Yeah. And that's an incredible gift that you guys are giving to all of us.
And
Like I have found so much great art through you guys.
well, yeah, I mean, look around our house. We have
all our artist stuff,
Yeah, we
including
do.
my wife artist.
Yeah.
All the stuff I don't want her to sell, but it's going to go at some point.
And there's a couple of really good, producers out there that are hosting shows in the Bay Area and in the Central Valley that we work with locally to help them promote and put on shows too. So we have we've done some shows with Whimsy Market out in Stockton, and I help her find artists and.
Gotta give her a plug. Maria Wear White Soaps.
Yeah.
She puts on a good show.
Yeah, the Whimsy Market. And, I'm helping her grow her business a little bit in different ways, And I'll be working with Haunted Manor in May, doing halfway to Halloween event. So that's right after World Goth Day. It's
Yeah.
not too far after that. We're just going to do a really small pop-up market at the Alfresco Dining Park. So it'll be my first market back in Alameda since last year. And I think that's probably going to be the only one I'll be doing
I think that's all we have in the book.
this year. Yeah.
You can't do the
Just-
same. You can't do a market in the same place too often. Otherwise, nobody wants to go anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just Alameda is oversaturated. The East Bay is oversaturated, so all of our pop-ups are basically outside of the area this year. I think we're doing one in
The next one next week is going to be in Auburn,
Okay.
Yeah,
which we're not going to be at because our grandson's being born. So we're going to be up there, up north.
yeah. We're doing one in Oakland. We're doing our Victorian Market. That one's in August, and I think we have a pop-up at the Ghost Town Brewing. That's a
Oh, yeah.
fun, that's a fun one.
Why? So is that one of the reasons why you moved where World Goth Day was? Because last year it was on the Hornet, which seemed like it ran really well and was well attended, and this year it's out in Vallejo.
That was one of the reasons. The other reason was that we kind of wanted to get it out of Alameda, but also we needed a bigger venue than just like the Elks Lodge or, there's nowhere else in Alameda except for the Hornet
That can host that many
that
people.
can host that many people. And
It would have the right aesthetic too.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's important.
And so, when we were looking around for venues, there's not a lot of offerings in the Bay Area that will accommodate our type of event that are still, I would say, small business friendly, that don't require you to use all of their labor and remain autonomous. San Francisco wants you to use all labor, union workers, and it gets really expensive to host an
To the
event.
point where you just can't do it.
Right.
If you're a mom and pop shop like us.
Yeah, our tickets are for the concert are, they're $50, but you get entrance to the market with that, and you get 3 bands and 4 because Unwoman is playing also. She's part of the market.
And we're
entertainment.
pulling a band from the UK for this.
Yeah,
one from LA.
And we have 6 DJs and we have, amazing exhibits and stuff. So concert for festival, $50 is really reasonable. But if we were to go to the city to do something like that, that's why tickets to events like the Edwardian Ball or, some of these other places are so high because it costs a lot of money to produce these events. When I get online and I see people complaining because ticket prices are high for some of these shows, it upsets me because people don't have any idea what goes into producing these events,
Now, it's not to say that we're not going to do an event in San Francisco this year.
Oh no, I don't know. Is that a plug? Is that a segue into?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So we are doing our first event in San Francisco. It's for Halloween, our Halloween show.
This is an exclusive.
Woo! I'm getting the scoop. I love it.
October 14th and 15th, and it's going to be at the San Francisco Mint. We were invited to host an event out at the Terror Vault. So our event will be during the day. Terror Vault is at night. Peaches Christ was very lovely and invited us out to participate during their October. Yeah.
That's really exciting.
So it is
That
really
is.
exciting.
I
And
don't know if you've seen this place, but it's literally the old San Francisco Mint. It's a huge
It's-
four-column building.
it's a historic building, and it's just amazing. And so, yeah, there's a lot involved that's going to go into it. And we're going to work with some amazing show people and artists. And yeah, it's going to be a big deal.
That's amazing. Like you all are so like, because both of you work so hard at all of this, and it's so to see like things coming, because we were just talking about how you helping this woman with her like event company, and like the fact that people rip you off, like if they just called and asked, you would give them help. You know what I mean? Like, so that to me is like you guys will get rewarded for all your hard work and grow even more, and those other people that are trying to rip you off are just going to go to the wayside.
You know, everybody is good at something, right? You can't be good at everything.
Right.
So if you're trying to be good at everything, ultimately it's going to hurt somebody. So I think that if you have something that you're good at, you should probably stick to it and let other people do what they're good at doing. So
But you're good at a lot. I mean, that's easy for you because you're good at so many things.
well, I just, the event production has a lot of little things that you do with it. That's what I'm good at doing. I'm not good at being an artist and an event producer because my art now is, I don't get to be an artist anymore. It's and that's what I said, you have to choose one thing to be good at because you can't, it's impossible. Something always suffers.
Right.
It's been hard to juggle everything. And so I have a lot of people that rely on me, like I said, to produce those shows and get those people there. So
We've had vendors quit their day jobs, not just to do Menagerie events,
Yeah.
but they're getting to the point where they can do this full time.
yeah, they do Menagerie and then they do some other events and that's their year.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. Because you're helping people like not only find but follow their passion and then make a living out of it. But it has to be stressful.
It's been stressful, but we've found ways and we've met people who have helped us just like we're helping other people.
It all goes around.
Yeah, it all goes around. It depends on who you surround yourself with. We've been fortunate to have found mentors and you meet people in just the strangest places. I met somebody at another show in Southern California, just somebody passing by that, poked their head in and they were like, "Oh, I sell t-shirts." And then we got to talking and they were really interested in the World Goth Day. The fact that we did a market, an oddity show, plus we had music and they do music. And then so we got to talking and, we started a new production company with them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So next year we have, we started servicing our company with the new production company and we're hoping to get other, clients on board. And then next year we have, bigger plans for the Menagerie and
that company too.
and that company. So, that's when we'll really be taking things on the road.
Right. Because eventually, would you like to take the Menagerie like all across the country?
To a degree.
To a degree.
We don't want to become one of these traveling shows that has 200 vendors.
Yeah. No, we always want to
we
have
vended
it.
those and we become a number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to have hands-on, some personal relationships with everybody that we have.
Right.
And we get to know everybody by name. People didn't know us by name, when
No.
we've been the other big events. And I think that kind of hurts you.
Yeah.
I think it hurts both people, both sides.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, and I don't know if you've thought through this yet or not, but like when you go to a different state, would you try to find all local artists from that, or would you bring all your California artists?
We would
or
take-
you do a
Bring
mix.
some.
We would take a handful of artists with us, and then we would pull from the local area. And we've gotten our business down to where it's fairly turnkey. But it's really not fair to go to another community and not have artists from that area. One of the things that we learned, like when we did Brookdale last year, was that there were a lot of people who wanted to come vend that event. And this is true like in Sacramento too, or Nevada City, when we did these events that were outside of the area. We do have some people that come from Sacramento or from Northern California. I have a few people that come from the Santa Cruz area. They're already on the roster. They're already vending these events. But we had more people come out of the woodwork that wanted to vend. They just weren't the right fit. They weren't, they're not the right, they didn't have the right aesthetic and the right artwork. And
it doesn't mean that you're not a great artist, but it just doesn't fit within what we're doing.
Right. Yeah, because you guys curate like a very specific look
We
and
had a
feel.
lady yesterday come up to me and she said, "Is this a curated market?" I said, "Yes." "Why?" She said, "Because every vendor has been so nice, so friendly. Their work is like so amazing." And that was kind of like a validation of what's going on. She's doing the curating.
The first two markets were highly curated that we did the first year. And then COVID hit. First three markets. The third market we had to postpone like a month before it was ready to happen. And, we postponed it, 2 or 3 times before we were given the alfresco dining park. And at that point, we needed more vendors to fill it because we go 35 vendors is what it was. It was 35 vendors, 35 to 40 vendors. And it was basically like fine art. I mean, we had some really fine artists and, paper mache, and it was. And so there were so many artists that first year of the pandemic that came out, and shop owners and, authors, and everybody needed a place to sell. And it was really difficult turning people away. And so I didn't.
Okay.
And it really muddied the water. And so 2021 happened. And then 2022, we didn't know what was going to happen. And people, my artists from like New York and Seattle and Portland and Los Angeles, they still weren't traveling at the beginning of 2022. So we had half of the year, we still had all the vendors from 2021 kind of intermingled with 2022. But, at the end, toward the middle and end of 2022, I had to get back to curating the market because I had, attendees who were like, this is not oddities and curiosities. This is a craft market. I literally had people writing for their money back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, what can I say?
Right.
And I had vendors saying, you know what, this is not the way that it was. When are you going to do something? And then I also had vendors who were not following the rules. These were not original vendors. I had vendors who were not, treating other vendors, kindly. I had vendors who were not treating my staff kindly. And so toward the end of the year, I just sent, 200 emails out that said, it was great working with everyone. We're going to curate this way. And not everybody is going to fit what we're looking for. There's a lot of great markets out there. And we wish everybody well. And I think that we've gotten back to, not everybody can see what our market lists look like this year. I can, so I know.
We're like steering the ship straight again.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really great artists, a lot of new artists. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
And I know the artists that are in the menagerie that know know what the lists look like. They're really excited because it's, they're working alongside their peers again. So.
And you're keeping your community like kind of safe and knowing that, okay, we were trying to help some other people, but we are going to focus on.
It's time to get back to what,
Back to the original
we're about.
vision.
What our vision was about, what our mission was about. And, everybody needs to get back to, not normal now, but life.
Right.
Getting back to that, but still moving forward.
Yeah, moving forward. So,
What did you do before the menagerie that makes you so good at being able to do all of these like little kind of, some of it is really mundane and like tedious work that you have to do. And people sometimes don't realize that, like you said, like to throw an event, if anyone ever thinks about like having a dinner party and all the work that goes into that, and that's just your people at your house, but you're throwing an event for like 2,000 people to come through.
yeah.
And you're organizing all these other adults and trying to get them to stay.
Yeah, so I don't think that everybody realizes it, but for the last 4 years, I did everything. So I did all the vendor coordination, I did all of the marketing, I did all the social media. There were times that I did the artwork on Canva. That's why I looked so hacked, because I'm not a graphic designer. I did everything, and it was really hard work. And I have a great appreciation for anyone who does any one of those jobs. We're at a point now where we can afford to contract some of those things out, and so that's been a really huge help, especially with World Goth Day, because it is a huge event. So what I used to do, I don't think a lot of people realize that I'm in my mid-50s, and so for 30 years I was an accountant in different industries. So I worked corporate, and I also did small business. So I worked with design agencies, which helps with the marketing and advertising. I worked at a couple of marketing agencies too. So that, it's just come in really handy that way. And I worked with some nonprofits, and I've worked, I don't know. I've been working since I was like 14 or 15. So, I've just worked all my life almost. And, I've worked in the restaurant industry. My kids, when they were in school, I volunteered on everything, event-wise. I've always done art markets. So, like, when my kids were in school, I did the carnival. I was on the carnival committee. So I did the carnival. And, that was getting sponsors, and it was finding people to do whatever. And then I did band boosters. I was always kind of the weird one, but I got things done. So, and then, whenever someone got married, I helped plan the wedding, or when we got married, I planned the entire wedding, did all the decorations. So.
Did you guys have a goth wedding?
Yeah.
We'll play you the wedding video after
Oh yeah,
this.
I've never seen it.
There's like a 6-minute video.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael's band
was
played.
Gothic.
The Reptile House played. And
We played for the wedding.
Nice.
yeah,
It was fun.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Because you all met like how long ago? How long have you guys been together now?
So today is our anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary!
7 years
It's
since we've been married.
7-year wedding.
We have a lot of
anniversary.
anniversaries.
Yeah, this year we have a lot of anniversaries. So this year is my 10th year aortiversary. So almost like next month, almost a month away, is when I suffered an aortic dissection. So that's 10 years.
And that's a big one because she's alive and well.
Yeah, because that almost killed you.
Yeah,
It
that's
usually kills most people.
Right, it's a widowmaker, right? Isn't that what they also call it?
no,
that's a
It
different
doesn't
one.
have anything to do with your heart.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
bit
is
of
why
a
the-
misconception about
which
the
is why
aortic part.
which is why the mortality rate is so high.
It's its own organ.
Yeah,
It's a separate organ from the heart.
it carries all the blood from your body, from your heart, to the rest of your body, to your organs and your extremities and stuff. So 90% of the people who have an aortic emergency do not survive. They don't leave the
But
hospital.
then the next statistic is what?
Well, 80% of the people who have one don't make it to the hospital. Of the 20% that do, only 10% leave.
Right.
And of that 10%, only 1% have medically managed dissection, which is what I have.
So you look at those numbers.
That's
yeah.
I mean, was that, I know it was life changing, but like, how did it change your whole life? Like,
You know what? I just do now. I just do. And that didn't come naturally at all. That was a process, even learning how to do that. Because when you are faced with any kind of, I think, anybody, it's human nature to just wallow in that mourning process, that grieving process. And I went from being a very independent, healthy, fit 43-year-old woman to being, you can't work, we don't know if you're going to live, we don't know what's going to happen to you. I mean, literally.
Right.
Stanford sent me home with a bag of medicine and said, take this. And that was it. And this is true, anybody will tell you, when you have some type of illness, they don't give you any type of emotional care.
right.
And it's traumatizing, So I had to learn how to deal with that. And I was a wreck probably for like a year and a half. I had PTSD really bad.
I met her 3 months after this happened.
Yeah. I'm agoraphobic. So after these big events, I was just talking to one of my vendors. She told me that she was too. After these big events, I have to detune.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. My jaw's on the floor. 'Cause I know you're kind of a homebody, but I would never have expected that you are agoraphobic.
A lot of people think that agoraphobic is you can't leave your house. Agoraphobia is a fear of. And so I cannot, I went through years of therapy, but I don't drive. I like to
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I like, that's one of the things that the Menagerie has done for me is it's gotten me back out, into the world again.
Right.
So
Big time.
Yeah.
So, having the dissection changed me in a lot of ways. And that's why I was saying I just do now. And, 5 years of the Menagerie has forced me to be out there and I just do. And I just keep going forward. And that's why I said, these people rely on me.
Right.
And it doesn't just give me something to do. It gives me a reason to do it. So I really enjoy what I do and it gives me a purpose,
Yeah.
I could do it anywhere. If we had to move or if we decided to move, I could do the Menagerie from anywhere. I mean, we've gone on vacation
Right.
and worked. We were just in Mexico for a week just to rest and relax, but we took our work with us.
It was pre-World Goth R&R, but
Yeah.
it still worked.
Yeah. Well, when you're working for yourself, I think you kind of always are working in a way. Mm-hmm. Like you have to learn how to relax
We
a
had an
little.
event yesterday. We were getting ready to watch TV at 9 o'clock in the evening. She said, I'll be right back. For the next 2 hours, she was working.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the beast.
I had to get events posted or just an event post up because we've got back-to-back events coming up and I just wanted to get them out there and the page is up because I've got to promote the other events that are coming. So
Right.
I had to get them out there. Just wanted to get them up and out so that I can move on to the next thing. It's challenging.
Were you agoraphobic before the dissection or was that after?
I've always had like claustrophobia and I don't like snakes. And, I've always had a challenge. I've always been challenged driving. I had a really bad panic attack once in the fog. So driving's always kind of freaked me out. But after the dissection, I just got to the point where I thought, because I was going to go running when I had my dissection. And they told me that if I had gone running, I would have died.
So did you have, sorry, not to, but did you have like symptoms? Like, how did you know what was wrong? You know, like.
I went out to my car to grab my running shoes. And I used to live over off of, near Park and Clement.
Okay.
So I just went out of my roommate's apartment and went to grab my shoes, and I was walking back in, and I felt this it was just a paralyzing pain in my back, across my back. And my chest was pounding. I felt like my heart was doing this weird flip-flopping thing. And so I made it back inside, and I said, I think you should call 911. I think I'm having a heart attack. And so she said she's like, oh my God, you look great. And she called 911, and the ambulance got there, and they took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was like, I don't know, 260 over 120 or something. And so
Which
right
is
there,
where you don't want to have it.
Right.
whatever it was in stroke territory. That's what the EMT said, you know. And they did an EKG, which measures the electricity of your heart. And he said to the captain, you know, her EKG is normal, should we transport her? And the captain said, no, she's going to stroke out, because my blood pressure was so high. And so and I was like, no, take me to the ER. You know, I have great insurance.
Right.
Take me, you know, just because my dad had heart disease, and, you know, there was a family history of heart disease. That's why I thought I was having a heart attack. Because I knew what the symptoms could be. And I knew they were different for women. Mm-hmm. So I knew something was going on. And I had started smoking like 2 years before that. It was weird, right? I started smoking 2 years before that. Like, I would go for a 5 mile run.
You're in your 40s and you start smoking?
Yeah. Well, I went through a divorce, and my dad died. And I was like,
that's
fuck
stressful.
it, I'm going to smoke. But I would go for a run, and the last mile back, I was like, oh yeah, man, I can't wait to get home and have that cigarette.
At least you were running.
Right? So
My dad used to play tennis with a cigarette in his mouth.
Oh, God.
He was good too.
the 70s were great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, they took me to Alameda Hospital, and there was a cardiologist there. And even when they were assessing me in the emergency room, I kept asking the nurse, you know, what are they looking for? And she said, well, they're looking for a dissection, but you don't have one of those because you're too young. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, the fuck is that, you know? And the doctor kept coming in like every 2 seconds. And then they took me up for a CAT scan, and they stopped it in the middle, and they took me back down. And the cardiologist never left. He went out once, and I heard him say, call and see if they have a helicopter, order transport from Stanford or UCSF. And I said to my roommate, is he talking about me? And she said, no, I think he's talking about the lady next door, because the lady next door was screaming her head off about something. And he came back in, he said, okay, do you want the good news or the bad news? I was just like, oh, fuck me. And I said, give me the bad news. And he said, you're having an aortic dissection. And all I could think of was aorta heart and dissection, cutting a frog open in 8th grade. And freaking out. And I started crying, and he yelled at me, and he said, I need you to help me save your life. I fucking thought I was going to die right there. And all I could think about was my kids and not seeing them. And I mean, that's all I had. I was single. I just had my kids, you know. Mm-hmm. And I got some really hot nurses to take me to Stanford.
Can I have the hot ones, please?
You didn't need that with your blood pressure.
Some really hot EMTs.
She needs to make sure you're okay.
But I was there for a week. It was the oddest thing because I'm at the best hospital in the world, one of them, and they couldn't tell me anything. And that was bizarre to me because there's not a lot they can do when the biggest blood vessel in your body is going to explode. So they can cut you open, and the surgery that they do is life-threatening itself. So they only do it
It's brutal.
They only
would
do it
think.
if they have to.
Yeah, 'cause-
So I had stayed there while my aorta was dissecting. I could feel it. And they just kept me pumped full of blood pressure meds to keep the blood pressure down. I didn't sleep for 3 days. I was afraid to go to sleep because I didn't think I was going to wake up. And then finally they were like, if you don't go to sleep, we're going to give you sleeping pills. And up to that point, I never took any medication. I wouldn't even take Tylenol. And then here they were, like, I have a picture of my arm, and I had like 20 tubes coming out of it. So, yeah, that whole year, that whole experience, it just, I think you could probably go one way or the other. And you probably go one way or the other many times when you're finding your journey or your purpose or, you know, but I just keep going. I just keep going and doing, and it may not always be right, but it's right for me and it's right for Michael. So,
Yeah.
you know, and 10 years is a long time because they said if I made it past 5 years, then that was a
big milestone.
That was a milestone. So it's stable. I go every 2 years for scans. So educational point here. The only way to tell if someone's having an aortic emergency, an aneurysm, a rupture, or a dissection is through imaging, which is ultrasound, CT, or MRI. And a lot of people have these. One of the musicians in Depeche Mode just died from.
And this is a good PSA.
They just released an album called Memento Mori, and they started on this tour. But Andy Fletcher died from one. And the media will report it as a heart condition. And a lot of times, first responders don't even know what they're treating. Emergency room personnel, they don't know what they're treating. They give a patient the wrong medications and they can bleed out.
And you're dead.
They diagnose you with the wrong thing, muscle pain or something, and they send you home and you die in your sleep. It's not their fault.
Right.
The problem is that the basic imaging that's out there is just not available, and there's no good reason why it's not available. If they made it available, you know, and just looked for whatever's wrong with us at the moment that we're in the hospital or in the emergency room, you know, they could find these things and cure people of a lot of things.
Well, the actor Alan Thicke, he died of a dissection. And they thought he was having a heart attack. I'm not saying they killed him
Right.
because they thought he was having a heart attack, but there are certain procedures that you may do on somebody having a heart attack that would maybe kill you if you were having a dissection. Like,
Giving someone blood
Sure.
thinners or nitro. I mean, if you've got a hole in your aorta and you give someone blood thinners,
They're just going to bleed out.
yeah.
So you still it's still a concern that you have to worry about.
it's
Yeah.
there.
Like it's
always.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's never going to go away. So I have what they call a double barrel dissection. When my aorta tore, it tore in a way that the blood went through right after the arch of my aorta. The blood ripped through, and it kept going down, and then it ripped out back into my aorta. So it went in and then out, went out, and it came out. They call it a false lumen. So it came back in right before it goes off into my kidneys. So it didn't cause any issues with my kidneys. So they didn't have to operate. Yeah.
That's, well,
I'll find a pic so you can actually see what it looks like.
that would be great. Yeah. I mean, I knew that you had like an event, but I didn't know how bad it was. And I knew that you had almost like, you know, in my brain, I was like, oh, she had a heart attack
Yeah.
and like has, you know, she's gotten better and she's good now in my, you know, and to,
I don't take anything for the heart.
yeah.
I'm on a bazillion blood pressure meds. I'm always tired. You know, I don't exercise, so I've gotten quite chunky. I always tell myself I'm going to exercise, and then I'm like, yep, nope, exercise almost killed me, so I'm not doing that. You know, we don't eat a lot of junk or anything. We try
Not really.
to eat healthy, but
We barely eat red meat.
yeah, yeah. But I'm down to 2 years now, every 2 years for my scans. At first I had to go every 3 months, and then it was 6 months, and then it was a year, and then, you know,
Yeah.
you know how that is.
I do.
Yeah, you've been there.
Yeah, and you're right, because you can go either way when that stuff happens. Like you either wallow in the sorrow of what happened, or like you just go and do.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's the only other option. Which is, I feel bad for the people that get stuck in that wallowing. And sometimes I have no patience for them. Because I'm like, you can make your life different now. Like, yeah, that sucked that happened.
It's a choice. Sometimes people are not, it's like an addiction. Someone who's addicted and they can't help themselves out of it.
Right.
Some people just can't help themselves to make that choice. They can't, you know.
Yeah, it's too hard for them.
Yeah.
This is deep inside Connie. So there's her heart, there's her aorta. See that line?
Yeah.
That's where it split.
Wow.
And that's that line, that's it also.
That's wild.
I think that's her brain. I think that's okay. So here's a bigger one. There's her lungs.
Is it the size of a pea?
There's the aorta going down to her
Yeah.
kidneys, right? See that line?
Yep. That shouldn't be
So
there.
it's like instead of having this, it split through the first and second layer, and then it created two holes. Hence the double barrel.
Yeah. Wow. And you went through all of that basically by yourself. Which is probably why, or how, I mean, because have you always been such a badass though? Like, or do you think that made you more of a badass?
I mean, I don't know that I would, people call me badass. I'm not a badass. I grew up, you know, I mean, I'm a product of the 70s and 80s, and
She had two brothers.
I you know, being, I guess, little skater punk rock goth chick in the 80s, that'll kind of toughen you up, but also
Made her a little scrappy.
you know, my dad was an alcoholic, and I saw my mom be abused, and I just, from a very early age, was very vocal against abusive situations. And I'm vocal against abuse of a lot of different kinds, whether it's, you know, that kind of abuse or people taking advantage of or exploiting other people. Nothing fucking pisses me off more than that.
Yeah.
You know, it just does. I mean, and there's a lot of people, they've got some really fucking big balls and a lot of fucking nerve, you know. And I'll call you out on your bullshit.
Yeah.
And I will go down. If you're going to take me down, let's go.
Yeah.
You're coming down with me. You want to take me down? Let's go.
Yeah. That's what I love about you. It's one of the, because like
Go
you're
ahead.
you're a no bullshit person, and you're like, come at me, let's go, let's do it. Like,
You know? I don't.
it's like a confidence
What
that
do I
you
have to lose?
Right.
You know, I almost fucking died. There's so many shits that I don't give.
I love it.
So many shits I don't give. I don't care.
Yeah. And I think that's
all
like
all this stuff can go away. I'll go live in a cardboard box. I can go work at, you know, the zip and rip on the corner. I don't care.
right. You're alive, so and you have a love, like,
And that's the most important thing to me.
yeah.
You know?
Because you two met 3 months, you said, after her dissection?
Yeah.
And you guys have not been apart since you met, right?
Nope. I think maybe
twice.
Twice for 1 week each. She had to go up north to Portland. And then I was on tour for about 8 or 9 days. And that was it, literally.
So 7 years of just, and like the love that you guys have is, it's inspirational. It's like, that's what I want to, you know, because to see you, because one, I mean,
don't
you
know,
work.
sometimes he really gets on my nerves.
Yeah, but you have no problem telling each other that either. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
you're annoying the
our
fuck out of
thing-
me. I'm going to go over here now. Like,
our thing is we don't go to bed angry. That's an old cliche thing, but it's true. You don't go to bed angry.
right. You fight it out.
And we're honest about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that I would say to my best friend Jim that I wouldn't say to my best friend and wife Connie. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
I'm all out there. I'm an open book,
Yeah.
and she knows it.
I think that's one of the things too that I've learned in the last 10 years with the dissection, and then also with the menagerie, you know, being around all these different people and personalities, is I've learned to become a better listener. Not just, I mean, not listening, but hearing people, you know. And also observer. I see a lot of things. And it just, yeah. There's some things I've seen and heard about people that I didn't want to know about, you know. And so, yeah. But it's interesting. It's really interesting. And we've met some really cool people.
Very cool people. Well, you're here.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, because Michael, you have a full-time job and then you do you support Connie in all of this because it's like, it's both of your company. I mean, you're like the forerunner and that kind of.
His name's on the paperwork.
Yeah.
In case I get hit by a bus.
So,
But you work full-time and you're a musician. Well, but because you work with Connie on the Menagerie, you have your band because you're still playing music a lot, right? Or are you not as much?
I'm in a tribute band. We play maybe once or twice a year.
Oh,
That's just
okay.
for fun. That's for the old farts to get out on stage.
Yeah.
The old
But I have my
bird.
solo project. I've been working on solo music, which I'm almost done now.
Oh,
Maybe
that's
I'll play for you
awesome.
later.
Yeah.
She has a guest vocal spot too.
I hate it when you remind me of that.
No, I love it. That sounds great. So I'm doing that. I'm going to have a solo release. I don't know when. I got 2 more songs I want to add, and I have 2 songs that are already kind of in the works. So we'll see.
Yeah.
His song sounds really
The
good.
lead-off single is
It
just
really
about
sounds
ready,
good.
so I can play it for people and
Nice.
be confident that it's sounding okay.
Yeah.
And
But-
she keeps telling people, "Oh, he's a musician. Play your music. We're
It
in Mexico,
sounds
and there's
so
a couple I
good."
didn't even know." She's like, "Oh, but here he's in a band. Play this." It's not in a band. It's just me. I'm
Right.
just tinkering in
You're
my
a
studio.
musician. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you are a musician. Like, that's your art. And it's kind of funny for me to hear that you're like, I don't want to play it for them yet. Because sometimes when I'm out and someone is like, she has a podcast. And I'm like, shh.
And that's what you do.
Yeah. And it's weird. And I'm like, I'm trying to get over kind of that stage fright of just existing.
I'm going to be putting myself out there doing this because it's just me.
Right.
And it's going to be on iTunes and, all the other stuff. And I might do some vinyl, maybe a limited run of vinyl. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah. That's really exciting, though.
Go from there. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming.
How do you find the balance to do all of it, though? Like, because you are a devoted husband. Like, you take Connie wherever she needs to go because now we know she doesn't drive. So, like, you do a lot for her, for
I
you.
love it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really what it is. I mean, I love her, obviously. I love my music. I love the menagerie. So we just do it. We just do.
Yeah. It's kind of like your thing. You guys just do.
What's our thing?
We're pals.
We're
we're pals.
2 people on an island. Sometimes is how I think of it. Because when it comes down to it, it's always going to be her and I. That's the one constant in our lives, beside death.
Yeah.
To keep it on the cuff.
Well,
Death
Yeah.
and taxes.
Yeah, death and taxes. She's already, like, skipped over death, though.
I mean, She was
She
stuck with
cheated
me
it.
from the first night I met her.
Yeah. It's because you two just, right? You didn't know each other at all before you met? And you
I
just,
had seen him like at the grocery store, and I was a
And
little
I'd seen
haughty.
her-
I was a little haughty, and this guy just walks back, by me. Like, oh, whatever. I open the case and get my milk out or something, whatever. So.
and then you met a few days later or a few weeks?
No, so Bill Pesh he used to DJ over at Swell. He'd do this.
Yep.
He'd do this little dance night called Transmission, and I had gone to see a band called The Mission in San Francisco with my boyfriend at the time, and
That's right. You both were seeing other people. Right?
and, yeah, we were miserable with other people.
We were both miserable with other people. Yeah.
But I had been on Facebook and Bill posted something on his little dance night thing. I don't know, something about songs that start with a woman's name.
Oh.
A woman's name. Songs that start with a woman's name. He wanted ideas for his playlist. And I said, I don't know, Caroline. And he said Severina. And then I said something else and he said something else. And then he says, on my comment, he says, hey, weren't you at the Mission last week? And I was like, I looked at his picture, his profile, and I'm all, oh, he's cute.
And hold on, anniversary pop.
Woo!
I was afraid that was going to be dead. So it was on that post of, his club night, and I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to go, and so, yeah, so he showed up, and then he texted or he messaged me on Facebook like early in the morning after we both got home, and we just never stopped talking,
No, we talked from...
People here.
So we left. I walked home.
Thank you.
She drove home. And we chatted on Messenger until the sun came up. And then... What day was that? Is that a Sunday? Mm-hmm. I called in sick the next day and met her at the beach. Just to continue the conversation, because I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
Right here.
I was off of work. I was out on medical leave.
Right. You were still recovering from almost dying.
Yeah. And I told him that.
And she was in the fast lane too, and I'm like, whoa. You got to pull the car over.
I kind of, that first month after my dissection, I went home from the hospital and I was like, in bed. They gave me Percocet because I was still in a lot of pain. I was still like the pain from a dissection when you're tearing inside. I don't know if you had pain inside from your injuries from your accident.
Yeah.
But that internal pain that you have, it's not like you can put heat on it
Right.
and help relieve it.
Yeah.
So they do. They give you pain pills and whatever else. But I was on Percocet for a month. And I was just happy and happy watching Netflix. They're like, don't vacuum, don't get dishes down.
Shit.
Because people don't realize this. Anytime you put your arms above your head, your blood pressure goes up.
Wow.
Anytime you exert any force with your arms
Yeah.
like this, your blood pressure goes up. It could be the smallest thing.
So she has a weight limit.
Moving back and forth, the vacuum,
Yeah.
your blood pressure goes up.
Her weight limit's 10 pounds of lifting. It used to be 5.
It's 5 pounds in each hand.
Right. Wow.
That's it. Yeah. So that first month, I was just on bed rest. And then, your muscles atrophy.
Yep.
And so getting back up, I would go for like short walk. And I was running before that.
Yeah.
The month before that, I was running 5 miles around Alameda. So I had that month, and then I started walking, short distances because I was out of breath immediately. But I decided that after that first month, I was like, I'm weaning myself off of this shit. And I'm getting out of here because I had gone back and stayed with my ex-husband. And I was like, there's no way.
Right.
I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And, they didn't know. They were still like, no, you can't go back to work yet. I mean, accounting is stressful.
Right.
You have deadlines and you have,
Yeah, because any stress gets your blood pressure up, and then, wow.
yeah. So
I imagine, and I mean, I'm going to ask you, but because I deal with pain all the time and I'm in pain all the time, I set my life up so I don't deal with other bullshit. Like when someone's like, I'm like, I just don't need you in my life. Like your drama, I don't need you. Or like work, like I don't work places I don't like, and I don't put myself in positions where I can have to deal with so much, because I'm like, I already have, like, my bandwidth for stuff is shorter than it used to be.
yeah. Auntie Mama.
Auntie Mama's here.
How do you want to do this?
We'll just wrap it up for now, though. Yeah.
What did you ask though?
Well, is that one of the reasons why, like, now you work for yourself, and do you kind of limit all the other, bullshit and stress in your life because of?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I set up. That's funny. I had set up a two strike and you're out. A 2 strike and you're out rule.
Oh, I like
at that
it.
point in my life, because I think everybody deserves a second chance. But oftentimes we give people 3, right?
Yeah.
And then no, there's a 2
strike.
2 strike and you're out. And especially now with like the business, I think that's really important, because I tend to feel I'm one of those empaths. I have a lot of empathy for people.
Yeah.
And I'm a Taurus as well.
Me too.
Oh.
But I also will let people go and go and go until I don't.
Yeah.
And when I don't, you know it.
Yeah.
That's
So-
same with me.
So I've had to kind of stick to that 2 strikes and you're out.
It takes me a long
I
time
just
to get
can't.
pissed off, and then
Yeah, I'm kind of similar to that. Yeah. Once I get mad, I just am done.
And then, the other thing too is that if I just see some type of inequity or someone just, I just shut them out. I just don't need to be around it.
Right.
If I see them doing something that's someone else, or there's no time for that anymore.
Yeah.
Just better things to surround yourself with. So.
Well, because you have that, it's as much as it's I always say it's a gift now. Like, it's a gift to me that I know what I could have lost, or, like I spent so many years on meds and not doing anything. And now I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I also am not going to let anyone into my life that's not going to be positive. Like, if you're not, I'm okay. Like, I wish you all the best, but you can take that shit over there.
Yeah,
Right.
go have fun with it.
Yeah.
know? I mean, I know a lot of disadvantaged people, whether they're, from a minority group or, whatever else. I think people look at me and they go, oh, she has this privileged life. Well, I've had to work for everything that I have.
Yeah.
And you don't know me. You don't know what I do in my off time. You don't know who I give to. I don't have to post it all over Facebook. I don't have to put a sign in my window that says, I'm doing this for this charity.
Right.
I don't have to do that. And I'm not going to. I'm not going to exploit anybody.
Right.
That's just not who we are.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you're doing the good for you and to put it out there.
And the people that I surround myself with and the people that we work with, and those people are the same, are like me, all of those people, all of the women that we work with, all of the people of color, all the minority groups, they're the same way. They work hard and they believe in what they do. So, we're looking forward to continuing those relationships and building on them. And this year is going to be full of so much magic and so much menagerie. And the menagerie is everybody. I mean, a menagerie, that's what a menagerie is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we thank you for creating a place where, like, you created a place where not only the goths are welcome, but like non-goths like me are welcome, and feel
everybody.
like we can come and learn and like, because I love weird shit and I love all of it, but it was never a community I had a bunch of access to. So like meet more of those people and to be able to just explore and learn about it. And you do it in such a welcoming way that, like, thank you. Because I am even more a little like goth now than I was, or I would have, I probably would have been
And
a
you're
goth
little
kid.
more weird than you were.
Yeah, like, and I'm okay
Weird
with
and
being
strange.
weird. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I'm
weird
okay
and
with it,
strange.
and it's like nice that I have a place that kind of gave me that permission.
You have an outlet.
Yeah.
You have an outlet. It's funny because our audience, I like to say our audience, our demographic, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're teachers, they're your neighbor,
They're
they're
everything.
your mom, your dad.
Yep.
They're everybody.
Yeah.
You
Like,
just didn't know it.
yeah, exactly. And it's so nice to be able to see it and feel it and be a part of it.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, we'll probably be back next time to talk about more stuff, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah, let's do
Michael's
more.
music.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Talk about Michael next
Yes.
Okay.
All right, y'all. We're gonna go get drunk and eat some good food.
Let's, yeah, we have work to do now.
Yes.
So you're part of
All
this.
right. Yeah. Well, we'll get to World Goth
All
time.
right.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening, and go
Bye.
find some joy today.
time.